when you're younger,
You want to save the world.
You're connecting dots, but now that I'm older, it's just like, what were all those dots about?
Right.
I think I shared this with you before. So, I lived in a commune for 5 years.
Well, wait. Okay, let's recap because you are a returning guest. So, can you introduce yourself?
My name is. Oh, here we are. I'm Steve Boland. Everybody's thinking my birthday, or everything.
Give us your social security number.
Right. My last 4 digits are my last digit. These are I'm Steve Boland, and they usually got to get my policy number or something, or my account number. Or I'm Steve Boland. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Steve. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm Steve.
And you're returning.
I'm returning.
You started. Actually, you were one of the first few people that helped me start interviewing.
Oh.
So, congrats.
Well, thank you.
And welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having my mom. Your podcast. Who wants to listen to you? And I said, I don't know. I said some people might find me interesting. That's what I'm getting for my dates. They don't say I'm good looking or I'm handsome or anything. They say you're interesting.
You have a lot of stories.
You're interesting.
A lot of people did reach out to me and say that they really liked your episode. That you
really?
had a lot of
thank you. I'm flattered by that because I thought it was all over the place.
No, it was perfect. I love the episode, and you have such a good voice, like for just talking.
Oh, thank you.
Which is why I wanted you to be at the studio, but next time.
But now we have film, and I want to point something out about this hair. So the reason I'm growing this hair, because I hear this from everybody, you'd be so much better looking if you had shorter hair. Yeah. Or this is my favorite one.
Just cut your hair.
No, you look younger. See, they think, that's going to be the one that's going to get it. You look so much younger if you cut your hair. Oh, I'm going to do... You know why I'm growing my hair long?
Why?
I had long hair when I was in high school. It was the 70s. When you were in trouble, your parents, the thing what they do is they're going to cut your hair.
Yeah.
You're getting a haircut.
Yeah.
Right now. So it's funny. So to have the hair is a whole other thing, generation.
It's rebellious.
Is that what it is? It's rebellious. Yeah, it is rebellious, or a sense of asserting who I am, or my sense of being seen, or I am. But so when I retired, like I said, I don't have to do a drug test ever again, and I'm never going to have to do a dress code.
Yeah.
As if it really ever bothered me before. But I'm growing my hair now because I'm lucky I have hair on the top of my head. It might not last much longer.
I guess that's true.
So that's why people say, well, you can cut your hair, guys, in their 30s, but then we'll grow it longer again. I might not have another again.
You know what Jesse told me, actually? He said that men that are around like 40 and 40 plus, they tend to grow their hair out as a flex to other men that are balding in their age
I never thought about that.
So if you could still grow your hair out at like a certain age, like it's a flex to other men.
I don't have any friends my own age.
To other men.
So that's an odd thing. I mean, all my friends are in their 30s.
Yeah.
And 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So and maybe that's what this is all about. But I'm going to tell you, I was driving, so when I got in the car, I jumped in the shower really fast because I was really dirty and the hair was wet. But you know what? I like having the window roll down in the pickup, and when the music's on and the hair's blowing in my face like
that. It's very California.
I feel really Californian. I feel like a surfer. And I know I don't look like one. I know I look like I look like Albert Einstein in a tank top.
Yeah.
But in my head, when the wind's blowing, I'm feeling like I'm a surfer.
Yeah, you and Scamp both have the long hair.
Well, we're both white and gray, is what the customer pointed out.
You guys are matching.
Right. Well, it's common.
Yeah.
I mean, people walk in the shop all the time and would say, they look at the dog, you look at the dog at me.
Yeah, the dogs look like their owners.
Well, and then the New York Times had a contest for people who look like their dogs. 100 customers must have all sent me the fucking link. And do you know this bullshit, Alexis? Do you know what the prize was?
What?
All you would win, and this is the New York Times. Cash? A subscription? No. An artist was going to draw a caricature of you and your dog. Big fucking deal. I could go to Venice Beach and have it done for $10. So, that didn't happen. Okay. But yes, I do look like my dog.
So let's go back to who you are a little bit and then keep this closer to your book. Okay.
Should I pin this to my shirt?
If you want to, yeah, because I know you have ADHD and your hands are going to be all over the place.
Hold on. Oh, shit. Did I break it?
You broke it. No, it's fine. You already introduced yourself.
I'm Steve.
And then I live out,
so,
yes.
Okay, this is probably, I lived at Cosanti, which was from 20 to 25. I lived on a commune, but it wasn't really a commune. It was an architectural firm. It was a castle in the desert. I lived underground. It was architecture, Cosanti. It was arcology. It was architecture and ecology combined together. It was a symbiotic relationship of the two. And then also on an urban context or an urban plan, how you can have an urban milieu and a cosmopolitan culture if the city is planned the right way. So this is a whole thing of urban studies and architecture. It was all combined with passive solar building, and then it was all a very idealistic place to live, and everything was underground, and it was very unusual. It was a cross between The Hobbit and Planet of the Apes. That's the way I described it. It was very.
How
it's
long
called
were you living here
Cosanti.
for?
Cosanti. We made wind bells. It was really. I mean, I can't even describe what it was like to live there, or what, because it's so something you can't conceive of. So I was there from 20 to 25.
Okay.
It was really hot in the summer, and I always take off every summer and travel. I hitchhiked a lot, so I hitchhiked through Europe. I hitchhiked around the United States a few times.
Were you ever scared of hitchhiking?
Never.
Never.
It was always an adventure and a possibility, and I never had a bad experience.
Would you still hitchhike now?
I don't know, because I went to England thinking, it would be like when I was in my 20s. I'm different. It's a different time, and I'm a different person. I do hitchhike in some ways. I still think whenever I meet somebody, it's like getting in a car for the first time.
Yeah.
And some ways you have to be entertaining. You got it because they've given you a ride, and that's what they want is to you got to sing for your supper, so to speak. So I did that, and then at 25 I came out of the closet and I came to California. I was working for the airlines, doing a frequent flyer thing. It was nothing. So, but I missed my nephew, and somebody I was working with there said, "Oh, you should go get a job at a YMCA and an after-school program." I don't even know about anything about this at all.
Yeah.
So there was one really close to where I lived. So when I quit that job, I went over, and the guy said, "Well, have you ever worked with kids before?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, why don't you go to the school and find out, see if you'd like kids in a group setting." Mm-hmm. So I went to the school where they were going to place me, and it was chaos. The kids were like going crazy. They were standing on the desks, walking. I mean, the teacher had actually left me alone in the classroom and was out in the parking lot or the playground.
Were you scared or nervous?
No, just thinking this is crazy. I mean, because it was like she left me. She didn't know me, and even I knew at that point like I should be vetted or something. Be left alone with these kids.
Right, that's true.
And she's out in the calling her boss about these kids are all crazy and they need psychologists and something. So anyway, this kid says, "Can you help me with my homework?" And I said, "Okay, yeah." So I helped him with his homework, and he said, "Well, you're gonna come back tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll come back tomorrow." And that's how it started. So I came back the next day, and then it rollerballed and went on and on. And they kept saying, "Well, so I was 26 years old, and I had no college education at all, and because my parents, because I was white, that you just get a job and you save.
Yeah.
That's what they did. Get a job. My grandmother said, "You're at the age you should have a trade in your fingers." That was something he told me. That was a working class man. You're at the age where you should have a trade in your fingers at your age.
Got it.
You should either at this point be a carpenter, a plumber, electrician. Mm-hmm. By 20. So anyway, so they kept saying at this job.
Are white people big on saving? Like, do they?
Also I don't know whether it was white people, whether it was just my generation.
Okay.
I put everything through a filter. Is it generational? Is it generational? Is it racial? Is it cultural? Is it regional? Is it educational?
Yeah.
These are all factors that are a filter that you have to put everything through.
A lot of white people I've met and know, they just know about savings, and a lot of Latino people that I know don't save that
Again,
much.
are they white people who are older or they're younger?
Yeah, so it's some young, some old.
I wonder if you ask older
so
Latinos, they'd probably say the same. They might be one of saving.
Saving.
I think that's a saving. I think that's a generational.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know, but then again, my roommate just likes to spend.
Okay.
He likes to.
Is he younger?
Yeah, 28.
Okay.
But even though we've got food in the house, he'll go to Burger King because he likes to spend money.
Yeah.
I go into buyer's remorse. If I have to spend it, I get really, I always feel scared. I have scarcity issues. Yeah. There's not enough. Well, I only have what I have. from being frugal.
True.
I mean, if you actually knew what I made, people are always shocked that I've earned so little and that I live as well as I do.
You've managed.
You know, it's my parents did teach me this. This is working class. Well, I don't know if it's working class, but
maybe
it's not how much you make. It's not how much you make. It's how you manage what you make.
True.
Because and then I like to point out, your brother-in-law, he makes a lot of money, but he's a wasteful person.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't keep leftovers and he throws things away.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always giving out because I'm good with money.
Right.
But I don't know. I think there should have been other things. Is he compassionate? Is he nice to people? You know, it's just like, you know, other judges of character versus are you good with money? It seems to be the thing in my. Ironically, so I don't know if this plays into your question,
mm-hmm.
but my family tends to be you're a good person if you're good with money.
Oh.
And if you're not good with money,
you're a bad person.
You're a morally wrong person.
Oh shit.
Because you've somehow squandered it or lost it, or you're a squanderer or lazy.
Yeah.
Or a moocher.
Okay.
From somebody else.
I guess.
So it's concerned, and maybe it might be the same in the Latin culture. Or maybe not.
Not really. No. I don't know.
When I was growing up, if you lived at home with your parents past the age of 20, it was considered like, what's wrong with you?
Right. And I feel like that's
parents?
normal for especially white people to like set those boundaries of like kicking their kids out at 18, 20. Like
we grew up very clearly, but again, I don't know if it's generational because now
but,
a
like,
lot of people say they
Latinos,
can't afford to live. I knew growing up, if you don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
And I heard that all the time.
Yeah.
The food in the refrigerator is my parents' food. I never touched a thermostat growing up.
Yeah.
Because that was my father's heat. Who the hell are you? Who the hell am I to be touching the thermostat?
Yeah.
Do I contribute anything to this house? No. And when I got the tape right away. And when you do, you can have some say around here. But until that time, you're living under my roof, my rules.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, leave.
That's
so you
how
know
my
what?
dad was.
So
honestly.
I left. At 18, I thought I'm not staying around here.
Yeah.
So I got out of there as quickly as possible.
My dad tried to like throw things in my face. Like when he would walk into my room, he'd be like, "This is mine. All this shit is my stuff." I eventually like managed to just like save and get myself like ready to move out. And then finally it was time. I was like, "No, I can't do this." My mom was going through like menopause.
Oh, you have siblings?
I have a brother.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to go." Like, I can't deal with this shit.
So something be said, you are independent.
Yeah, for sure. So now I feel like I'm taking advantage of the situation, and if the home is like stable and set, now I can do things for myself. Yep. And same with Jesse too.
Does your boyfriend live with you, or do you live with your boyfriend? He lives with you, doesn't he?
I guess he would live with me.
Okay, so
in that case.
Well, I'll tell you. I have never ever lived with a boyfriend.
Okay.
Boyfriends live with me.
He's my first boyfriend.
I will not allow myself to move into somebody else's house.
Yeah.
There's just like, why would I put myself? I can't go home and sleep on my couch if I fuck this up.
Yeah, that's
Do you know what I mean?
it's
like
kind of a sense of like control.
Security. That's a better word. I'm secure, and it's like unless you live somewhere where you really together that you knew it was going to be, that you can't be kicked out. I wouldn't want. I mean, if you moved in with someone. What if they got tired of you were cheating on you, and then you've got to be moving out?
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm not putting myself in that situation.
That's scary.
Right, with all my furniture, so it's my house.
Yeah, so that's why, like, I tell him, like, you need to save and work on your savings so we can get out of here together and split, like, a home.
Right.
Where it's fair.
Right.
And it's like, that way you don't feel like it's my apartment. And,
right.
Because I think that also it changes the dynamic in a relationship too,
To know that it's yours? Yeah, but why not? But there's a nice thing for us because women always, right, it's always dominant male, submissive female, right? But there's something nice about having a woman own the house and a man living in her house.
I personally don't like it. And I think it's because, like, I just feel too masculine in that mindset that it's like my place and like I mean it's our place but like I work there so so like it's all about perspective,
right? So
for sure.
That if you want him to be the provider, he can still provide.
Yeah.
So why not have him pick up is there any bills at all?
He gets the bills. We try to split it like in the middle as much as possible. So he gets the bills. He pays for the groceries and the food and stuff.
Because there's something to be said for, you could look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
if you're my daughter, this is how I do.
Okay.
You're coming to the relationship and bringing the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
There's value in that.
Right.
So he's got to match up that value.
Yes.
So, and then that's what you bring.
Yeah.
So if he balances out, then you're 50-50.
Yeah, right?
Right.
I think so. So I feel like it's pretty
Because my
fair.
boyfriends that live with me, they always said they either paid the bills, the groceries, other stuff, and
Right.
I paid the house. Yeah, because I'm contributing like a lot of money here.
Right.
So for an apartment, if
That's-
you had to pay the rent, I mean that would be like $2,000. So it's
Exactly.
Like, so you should be matching me the $2,000.
Exactly. That's the way I see it too.
Another thing, what I did with my ex, because I didn't pay any rent for a long time, because I was managing apartments, so or managing houses for a trust fund family. I had Tom, so when he wasn't paying rent, I had him put money into a joint account as if he was paying rent.
Oh, okay.
And I took that money at the end and we bought a house with him.
That's good. Was he bad with money or like?
No, I was, in hindsight, I could have taken that money and kept it myself
But
and
you're a
bought
good
the
person.
property. But my parents are still together. That I've watched them over 67 years save. And everything they have is from what they've saved and done together.
Right.
So they would save up for a trip. They would save up for so they would save the envelope thing, the different envelopes, and then so it was always a sense of accomplishment now.
Right.
And I always felt that, consequently, I always felt that I wanted a boyfriend, that I would be doing it as a team as well. And I think that's led me into some false paradigms of thinking that not everyone thinks as a team, because then I end up taking care of people.
True.
And then thinking we're together in this, and then
It's mostly you.
it's mostly me, or they don't think about bailing.
Yeah.
So anyway, just like this thing was going on with this tenant right now, so I just never, it was more about principle than the money. And then when the money got involved, it got to be really like crazy, and I'm just surprised that he sold out. Okay, that's not what I was talking about. Anyway, so those are other options you could consider.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to Jesse watching this or listening
to hear that.
It. Yeah, because like
save up and buy a trailer. But I would also tell young people now, buy a trailer.
Yeah, well, because he has a hard time saving, and I think a lot of that has to do with like his upbringing. He wasn't taught that.
Right.
It was more just like spend,
right.
and so he's like, we're living together, and I was taught to save by my mom.
Right.
And so I'm trying to like help him learn or catch up to like these, like we don't need to eat out today, or like, we could make something at home, or things like that, or we don't need that. So it's just like, that's kind of what I'm trying to like.
But be careful that you're not taking care of him though.
I know.
I'm telling you that as an older man, you know what I'm saying? I get that.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point sometimes that we infantilize our boyfriends. Because I mean, I'm just as guilty about that as anybody else has.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Which is something I wanted to talk about, just like
It's
men.
a form of control in some ways, but you don't even know you're doing it. But it's a way of being secure.
I know.
But we're following blueprints of our parents, their templates, and
yeah, for sure. I wanted to talk about like men, because you have good experience with men, just like in all age groups, I'm sure. But
as a gay man who has been gay for a long time, and I'm really good at it.
Yeah. What do you think about like?
I've seen lots of penises.
Let's talk about that.
What kind of what's this rated?
So I mean, it's not rated anything. YouTube asks me like can younger people watch it? I always say no.
Yeah. So but hold on. I'm gonna go back. I didn't finish. I said that I went to school.
Yes.
Did that. Did it for a very long time, and I was a house painter. And then when I wasn't a house painter, because that was when the kids are driving you crazy, and it's just like all of a sudden you can always put on headphones, climb a ladder, and I can paint. And then people would be like, well, you got a degree. Why are you wasting it doing painting? And I thought, because it's just, if you did my life, you can understand why you go back and forth.
What was your degree in?
Early childhood education.
Okay.
CDE, child development.
Okay.
But I think my degree was actually in human development.
Okay.
California degree, right? But
so you actually used your degree to
your
career. Cool.
Yeah, I had and specific in my what's kind of cool about what I did for a living. So I ran after school programs, large after school programs. I grew up in the 70s when I was really into the school called Summerhill. It was a project-based learning school. There was no it was very open-ended. learning occurs through play, project-based activities. I love stuff like that. So after school programming was, I got to do art with kids all day, and we could do things based on, well, it's funny, at first, after school programs is basically mostly around holidays. So like the month of February will be Valentine's Day, and then you've got a month of March is St. Patrick's Day, and everything's fucking green. I'll tell you what I used to do for activities: pancakes in a griddle with kids, because so. What I would do is, in Valentine's Day, we made red heart pancakes. And for St. Patrick's Day, we did green pancakes.
That's
4th of July, we did red, white, and blue pancakes.
That's a good idea.
But the kids it was good because you can flip the pancake. And it was motor skills, confidence building.
Like cooking even?
Cooking, like you're doing measurement. There's a math component involved.
I think that's like
there's
really
language components with English. Yeah, I like shit like this.
Yeah.
Good math, good language
like,
component. I like shit like this.
It's also like not so wasteful when you like versus like, you know, crafts and stuff, which is cool. But I mean, like when you have a pancake, you want to eat it as a kid. So it's like not too wasteful either.
And it's something you could do at home. I mean, you could. So around the stove, if you're allowed that. You can make things for your parents. For sure. So I did that for a long time, and then I got very good at it, and I worked at a nonprofit on Skid Row called Para los Niños, and we provided free childcare to workers in the garment district. That's how it started out at first. So, and then we expanded that service into just lower income families in that geographical area of downtown LA. So I did that for a very long time. I was there for 10 years, and I created a curriculum based on values. So when I was working with severely emotionally disturbed kids up in Pasadena, I remember I was a white man working with African-American children. And I remember it came very clear to me with these kids that really had severely emotional problems, when we got into character issues or character development, I can't say to a black boy who's frustrated, well, you know, just calm down a little bit and count to 10.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on at home. And these kids, I mean, when they would flip out, and they flipped out a lot, you have to be like restrained. But you motherfucking get the fuck off me, you fucking cunt. And it was like really misogynist insults. It's like, that's not organic. You're hearing that at home. Right. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, they're repeating stuff. So these kids were being subject. I didn't know what was going on in that house. So this is when I realized that to give kids, so to have your own moral compass and to give you resiliency, how do you foster resiliency in children? Not knowing how they're going to go, because again, when you're 18, I was told I was out. Yeah. So I don't know if these kids, but they're going to be on their own sooner, I think, because they're in the foster system. Mm-hmm. So just the fact of how do I prepare? I can't tell people what to do or how to give. You know, the jobs that you have now didn't even I mean, I've got kids now that want to be YouTube stars. Yeah. That did not exist when I was a kid. So, or even a podcast of what you want to do. So how do you prepare people for doing something that might be so it's I think it's about having personal values. If you know what your personal values are, your core values, Stephen Covey did a lot of this stuff. That gives you the moral compass. I don't believe in mission statements for agencies. I think that if you have your values down, mm-hmm. So the value of the coffee shop, our value was
Holy Grounds.
Holy Grounds. I used to own Holy Grounds. Yeah. I no longer own it.
I've been waiting for you to mention that.
Oh, so I sold it. So So after I retired, I got laid off. It was the recession. What happened was it was 2007, 2008, and all the programs were being closed. I was living in this property with my ex-husband, and we walking the dog, and I'm thinking, what can I do with this property? It can't be outsourced to either Mexico or China or somewhere where all these businesses have all left for cheaper labor somewhere else. It's not coming back. So I'm literally, and all the traffic was on my side of the road going to town, and it just hit me, oh, coffee. So I thought I'll do coffee in the morning and then go back to doing after school programming in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. But then it never, the coffee thing just took off, and people kept saying, can we go on your patio? Okay, if you're responsible and pick up after yourself. Mm-hmm. So basically I was running it like an after school program for adults. And then it just got to be, it just took on a whole life of its own. And then I always say, you kids all grew up, and instead of coming to my after school program, you're all hanging out in my patio now drinking coffee. Saturdays we would do craft class. We would do art classes on Saturday. But there was also a financial. If people hang out, they're buying.
True.
And then it was you buy a cup of coffee to do an art activity.
Yeah.
Well, we only sold coffee, so it was a nickel and dime business, and to be sustainable, you had to do volume. So that's the reality. So we did a lot of that stuff here. Then people started saying, "Oh, can we do an open mic night in the corner in the front?" I was like, "Well, okay, if you pick up after yourself." So and then
were
the
they
open
usually
mic
pretty good at like picking up after themselves? Okay.
I just said that more or less, but yeah, but I'd get out of there. Anyway, then it just took on a whole life of its own, and then we had the open mic night, and then we built a stage, and then that came on a whole life of its own. We had comedy nights on Thursdays. It was 24/7 that we were here. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was really glad that I have my cabin that I can go to because I can leave during the week. Because when you live at work, I would wake up in the morning and hear that grinder at 7 o'clock. God. You can hear the coffee grinder. And I'm going to bed at 10, and then we were open from 7 to 10, 7 days a week. So it was just like, it's constant outside my door. And then I had people coming over, customers. My mom's in town. She wants to meet you. I don't know who the fuck you are, who your mom. I mean, I know who maybe you are, but I don't know who your fucking mom is. And I got laundry. But I got to go out and meet your mom because you're a customer and, you're patronized. And we want to make a good impression because you obviously brought her here to.
Right.
And then people feel good too. They know the owner. So there's also that aspect.
That's
too.
True.
So, but it was a lot, and I got really involved. It was living here. So, and then the gentrification thing all started. I got a lot of shit about that. But I live here, so it wasn't like I live here. If I was a real gentrifier, I would have sold the property. I wouldn't have been selling fucking coffee.
Yeah.
So, and also it's funny when people thought, oh, the white gentrifier, but they said, I used to say, go online and look me up, and then come talk to me about it. Because if you knew what I did before I did this, I've earned my seat at the table. Mm-hmm. But I want to go back to that project stuff, what we did with the kids, because that was a very, the values thing was a very big deal for me, the values project. It was called MVP, my values project. Mm-hmm. And what we would do is we would survey the parents in the beginning of the school year. I had a list of 100 values in English on one side of the paper and Spanish on the other. And so things like patience, compassion, tolerance, frugality, what were some other ones? There's so many. Respect, hard to forget about. So we would do all these, so parents would circle the top 4 values. And then based on those values that were chosen, we would build a curriculum around those values. Mm-hmm. So now, mind you, I'm working with young people who don't even know their core values. I don't project them to other kids. So how do you start this thing? Well, it all begins with a story. Uh-huh. So ask the parents, so if respect was number 1 listed, I'll tell you. So downtown LA, when it was newly arrived immigrants, it was always, or new arrivals, it was, respect was number 1, respect, education, family, and love. And then when we started surveying parents out in like Pico, when we started getting, as we grew and the programs were more in outliers, like in Eagle Rock, more in little wealthier areas around the peripheral, when families had moved out like Pico Rivera, it became about gratitude. Mm. The parents felt the kids. So first, the parents were worried that the kids were losing respect. Uh-huh. And then second of all, second generation, the parents were worried that the kids were not grateful for what they have. Mm-hmm. I think that's an interesting phenomenon. Yeah. So I would ask the teachers when they would go, well, how do we build a curriculum based around respect? Ask the parents, where did they learn that value? It all begins with a story. Mm-hmm. Mind the parents. It's funny, when I used to work at that Cosanti, the first place I lived at, it was all about indigenous culture. That culture should arrive organically out of people being put together in a positive space, and then something arrives out of that. The architect that I used to work for was named Paolo Soleri, and he's from Italy. So in Italy, you had all these like walled towns where people were had to interact with each other because they were in a small place. Mm-hmm. And then you have somewhere like Los Angeles, or we had sprawl, where there wasn't so much culture because everything was sprawled out and spread out and taken from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I felt it was really important for a lot of the students growing up here to have a sense of identity, because it's important for every human development. Right. I'll tell you, like when I would go to the classrooms, I mean, there'd be short classrooms, I would see things from the teachers during the day, teachers like Winter Wonderland, and this is like the Winter Wonderland, and they had snowmen and kids sledding and ice skating, and I'd be like, when the fuck do these kids ever make snowmen and sled ride and ice skate?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not their reality.
True.
And then it's like, I grew up in Connecticut. We didn't grow up with palm trees. Mm-hmm. And why are kids in school still counting apples on the tree instead of oranges? I never grew oranges. We never counted oranges in Los Angeles. I mean, is it because white was a superior culture? Like when you go to Disneyland, that Walt Disney tells you this is main town because it's his main town?
Yeah.
That's someone's main town?
Yeah.
Or it might not, might not look like that.
That's so true.
So I really wanted the kids in Los Angeles to really know so like Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I used to do this exercise. When you're on Mars in the future and your kids are asking you, your grandkids are asking you, Grandma, what was Christmas like back on Earth? What are going to be your memories?
Oh God, they're not good. My dad was an alcoholic.
Okay, but if you have to say it with the kids, what would you say something on some positive way? Everyone parents drink at Christmas, but what were...
My Christmases weren't good.
But what were some of you say? Oh, what was it like?
I get to spend time with my brother and my mom and open presents.
Opening presents all day?
And making food.
Making food, was it snow? Tamales? Okay, so you see tamales.
Yeah.
Got it. That's something very unique to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making tamales?
Yeah.
And what else?
And we made cookies.
Was it snowing out?
No.
What, was it sunny?
It sometimes was.
Okay, so what, you had to work, so it was sunny day, but in Los Angeles it was cold but sunny.
It's cold but sunny, yeah.
Sunny, cold, but not cold enough to be snowing. Mm. Right, so you had palm trees.
Yeah.
And people would decorate the colors.
Yeah.
What was winter like in Los? What were your winters like if you didn't have snow?
Yeah, my winters were just really cold.
And it rained.
Yeah.
Los Angeles, right? So these are things you have to, it rains
really
out.
Think about
it rains, and we have Santa Anas.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do color, we're going to do red and green in the classroom. Why are we doing holly wreaths? Why not we do bougainvillea?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Why aren't we decorating things with palm fronds? Why aren't we doing things all Christmas decorations are indigenous, so why not bring more of that indigenality into, or authenticity and originality into your experience?
Yeah.
So these are the things that I was really focused on with the kids, trying to find out what was, in particular, really Los Angeles culture.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fascinating for me.
Yeah. That is really fascinating.
So we would begin with the stories, and the kids would tell stories of they learned respect back in Mexico or somewhere. Then they would do, and then I would always tell the kids, and then, so it was really kind of fun. So you'd walk in. I always wanted a big banner in the classroom on butcher block paper with the value of the week or the value of the month. Mm-hmm. So, and then what it is the kids would write it all out the first day, print it out, and then you're talking about it because you're making big block letters about respect. Yeah. So you're going to talk about what respect means. Easy, painting it. And activities for a discussion to happen and for teachers to mind the discussions of what's coming out while this is happening. And then you do your activity. So then you do something the next day, okay, respect. What would be an activity? Something the kids told a story about something. The father told how he learned respect. Okay? Write it out. Storyboard it. Turn it into a play. Do something more about it. Spell. And then what happens on these banners, take the artwork, because you don't have bulletin boards in the classroom, staple it to the edge of the banner. Well, and just keep stapling it out like petals on a flower or a rose. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So the teacher comes in, they roll out the banner with all the activities that we're doing, and then this becomes a creative process in itself. Yeah. And then you get to hang this banner up, and then when the teachers come and the parents, what did you learn today? Nothing. It's really clear. Respect. So the parents, so that was a good thing. And then the teachers get to talk. Hopefully parents will talk about that stuff when they go home with the kids, and that was character development.
For sure.
So that was my big opus, was my values project. And then the fun thing was, when I left that agency, Obama had just won the election. Mm-hmm. And I had all the kids write letters. I wanted them to write letters to Obama telling him what values they had learned at Palo Alto and what values they felt were important to him. And I have all those letters in a big binder of maybe about 1,000 letters.
You still have them?
I still have them in the closet.
Oh my God.
It'd be a really good project to put together someday. And the kids are really clever. What was interesting, a lot of you think they're not listening, but the kids actually wrote some really cool stuff. What was also interesting, some of the kids would write down what their parents did for a living and how they could be contacted.
Like businesses or
Yeah,
something?
because these kids are raised doing, the parents don't speak English, so the kids are the intermediary.
Right.
They have to go buy, the parents are buying a car and they're bringing a 7-year-old to negotiate
translate.
sales deals, right, to translate the deals.
That's true.
So, Jose Maldonado is writing down, that his father's available for work and he's got the phone number. He's telling you in this letter that he's writing.
Aw, that's so sweet.
It was also interesting, they were talking about that they found there was a presidential race. And so the kids actually think that they race each other. I never thought they said that he beat somebody up. He must have ran faster than, I don't know who Obama was running against.
I totally blanked out on who he was running against.
Bush?
Well,
the first time
it was Bush for like his re-election, right? And then
the kids probably think it's probably Biden and Trump are race. They're going to race each other.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It's kind of
so
interesting.
Funny. Do you miss working with kids at all?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Okay. You enjoy being retired?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
What don't you like about being retired?
I don't have a sense of direction right now, what to do in my life. And I wish there was I wish I could work more with some more creative people and do something. I would like to do something with trees. I would like to do something project based. But the thing is, I have lots of projects going on now.
Yeah.
So it's that ADHD. My parents, I have aging parents who need to be checked in once a month. I gotta go back to Arizona.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, my sister. She's younger than I have a nephew. My sister had a baby when she was like 16.
Do they check in on your parents?
Yeah. I call every fucking morning because when COVID happened, I thought it's the end of the world, so I better call every day. How do you stop calling your parents every day?
Yeah.
My mom goes, oh, we look forward to this day. It's the highlight of our day.
Aww.
But I have to hear the same fucking stories about, they're 87. Yeah, they're in their 80s. So it's just like, it's the same stories about England that I've heard already. Like, why you left England when I was born. Why? You don't think I've heard, what story could you tell that I'm not told before?
Yeah.
But she doesn't know she's telling the stories over. And that's the part.
Yeah.
And then my sister said, will you let her have the joy of telling the story?
That's true.
Easier said than done, but we'll see how you handle that.
That's like my dad. He likes to repeat storytelling too.
Well, and I do it myself. They laugh because the kids, Orion will say, even Aaron, the joke will be, ever tell you about the time I hitchhiked through Europe? It was the scariest time of my life, and it was the best time of my life. They know.
Yeah, I remember you saying last time, like, if I'm repeating myself, that it means I need to go.
Really? I said that?
You said that.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't remember that.
That's something you said.
I heard that once. I took this training called EST.
What's that?
And, but now it's called the Forum. And so it was in the 70s. I did it in 82. It was a very intense workshop. It was a lot of money, but I was 25. I didn't really know. It's funny, even then I was wondering, I needed to have some. There was a book that was real popular called What Color's Your Parachute? Do they still have that book? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Yeah, that was on everyone's bookshelf at one point. That's giving away my age. What color is your parachute? I forget what I was talking about.
It's okay. I wanted to talk about men. So, going back to that, what do you think are some issues that men today have just like getting through life? I know that might sound vague, but like you can.
Do you want to, so is this going into the whole daddy thing? Because that's
possibly
that's a whole nother topic that we could talk about.
You can understand that question however you would like and answer it however you would like.
Well, to a degree, okay. So this gets into with childcare, right?
Yeah.
So I've always had male shadows because my sister had a baby when she was 16. So I had a bong on one knee and bouncing a baby on the other. But never given a power hit to the kid.
Yeah.
So, and Michael's now a scientist. So, and he's 45 years old, and I'm very close to him. He calls me, we talk a lot. So, he's very good to me. He's like a son. It's my nephew. It's just like, it's our bond's really close. I remember when he was little at preschool, I went to go pick him up once, and one of his friends said, "Oh, is that your dad?" He goes, no, it's my uncle. And I remember at that point, I thought, I never want him to feel ashamed that he doesn't have a dad picking him up, that he can be just as proud of having his uncle pick him up as he would be a dad. And I remember that. And it's funny, when he graduated from Duke, but also, I didn't go to that graduation. When he graduated from Humboldt, I remember seeing him in the crowd. You could spot your kid out in a crowd, if anywhere, in that graduation. It's the same as when he's in preschool, or it's the same if he's graduating with a bachelor's degree. Is that you can spot him and zero in, and that's him. Oh. So I've always had male shadows, like the dog, and so growing up. And it's funny, I'm not like someone who can throw a football either with kids, so I'm not some push dude. But also when I was in an after-school program, a lot of parents wanted that because they were I worked with working moms, and I can tell you now, looking back at my life, the majority of my life was spent with working mothers, and I think that's why I get along, especially with women who have had kids. It seems like just things we've talked about. It's like we're talking at the sign out table. Yeah. Even when I worked with teachers, I realized they don't have a connection with parents the way that I did, because they said, well, we never see parents. And I thought, or families, because in after school, you see, you're the bridge, because you got the school day, then you're after school, then you got the parents. So the parents are always asking me what the kids' homework is, how are they doing in school. Teachers would come to me and say, you got to tell the parents this. So we were always that middle piece, and then but then I didn't want to be doing holiday stuff. So what happened was, if this is academic, then we picked up the character development piece in the afternoon, which I think was appropriate, because that's a good after school program should focus on character development, for sure. Versus, because why not? I mean, it gives you an emphasis. It's not something you can measure and have to test for. True. So it's a really good place it's a good arena for that to occur in a secular, non-religious way. So I took this thing called EST. I was starting to talk about, and then and basically the philosophy behind it is that we are all just program. We're all machines attaching meaning to everything in our life that we've been programmed to attach meaning to. So, and that all the problems you have in your life might be as a result of that perception. And you have and I have the opportunity to change that perception. True. I could always reframe it and rethinking of a new possibility, what I want right now, starting over again at any moment. Totally. So I remember there was one thing they said, that if your life is like a car driving forward, how effective can you be if you're always looking in the rearview mirror? Good one, huh? Yeah. Right? So, and I look in the rearview mirror a lot. But also I think it's because of my age. I think that at 66 I have to be thinking, what was this all about? What was that about? I worked with single moms. But I can also tell you this, the greatest honor I've ever had is that parents trusted me with their children. Yeah. That somebody said, here, I'm leaving with you for 4 hours or 6 hours for today, or all day. In the summer I had kids from 6 o'clock. So when we're in the after school program, so I have a degree that you have to be specialized in to get these big contracts from the State Department of Education. So it's very specific. I have a director's permit, and I have a degree in early childhood education, specializing in childcare, in school-age childcare. So I can run, so like when they open up Head Start programs or things like this, they need somebody with my degree. So that's why I have some cachet in that respect, that these agencies need someone, because they get these big contracts from the state. Right. We got it was almost $1 million. Right. So we were serving 5,000 kids a day. It was a huge program. We had 10 sites. So I grew in my capacity, but I wasn't working with kids anymore. I was working with young adults. Okay. And that was the big shift for me. So, but you want to talk about men, and I'm going back to education. So,
if you want to keep talking about education, we can.
Well, so it's interesting. So I've always worked with all these kids. So I could bring this up. So even working with adults, I had 80 employees at one point, because I had to sign 80 time cards. Our agency was so archaic that we still had to personally sign the time cards. Yeah. So I remember signing 82 time cards on a Friday. God. And I thought, this is crazy. 82 fucking time cards. Your name on it. Can you imagine?
You should have had a stamp.
I don't even know. I mean, when I'm verifying that they work these hours. Anyway, so what was the point? So so the teachers would always go. The parents wanted me, because they always wanted to have a male influence with their kids. Okay. because they didn't have, a lot of them were single moms at home.
I see.
And the teachers would always say, and the parents would always go, the moms would say, well, did you talk to Steve about that? What did Steve say? Does Steve know about that? Mm-hmm. You get more so you're really more involved. And also you've got these kids from every year, and you have their families. Mm-hmm. So you've got their siblings coming into the after school program, and these kids are going out and other kids are coming in. So you really do get to know the families big time.
Yeah. Big
time.
Totally.
So, and then in the summer, we were open from 6 in the morning till 6 at night. And then also Easter break and spring break from 6 in the morning.
Oh my God,
so you've got those kids, and some of those kids were dropped off at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning and picked up at 6 o'clock. So those kids were
so sad.
But it doesn't have to be, because what it was, I made it not sad.
Yeah.
We made it fun.
Okay.
And a lot of times also you assume that things are going better off at home. They might not be.
That's true.
I'm thinking on Saturdays, hey, what did you do this weekend? A lot of kids on Saturdays spend their days at the laundromat. Mm-hmm. Or their dad's got custody watching 5 videos of horror movie, of just scary movies and never leaving the apartment.
Yeah, or there's alcohol or substances in the house
in the evening, but more it was just like chores.
Yeah,
it was just like true. It was just like always like we had to go swap meet. It's like laundromats.
Maybe they were just better off with you then.
Well, there were the parents. Funny, even when I tried to get the kids to go to summer camp, the parents could not understand the idea of summer camp. What is this concept of summer camp? Because why would they want to go live? Why are they going to go sleep in somebody else's house and eat their food when they should be eating my food? But it's just like, no, it's good for them to have. So this is a whole new experience trying to get kids. No, it'd be very good for them to be independent.
True.
But they got to be very careful, because that's another value of independence, which might not be, it might be counter to what. See, when I was in Head Start, we would have to let me give it a, what do you call it, ethnocentrism, is that one of the you wanted kids to, it was considered positive if kids were talking while they were eating. It was called family style eating. Mm-hmm. So you wanted to foster conversation while it was snack time.
Right.
Now I went to one site, downtown LA, and nobody was talking during snack time. And I'm thinking, well, that's a ding, 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 ding. And then, but afterwards the teacher said, well, if you notice we don't talk when we're eating snack. And the reason and I said, why is that? And she said, because we come from a country where it's poor, and there might not always be food. So when there's food on the table, we know that God is present. So out of respect to God, we're quiet while there's food.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, I learned something again.
Right.
Education, but the filter, educational, regional, cultural, generational.
Right.
So that was an insightful part for that. So he said to be met. So even when you talk about independence, because you're saying, I see white people be always, again, if you don't like it, leave. Mm-hmm. And again, my friends say, my father never said that to me. The food in the refrigerator was our food. Mm-hmm. It was our house. Not, So I was always, if it's your house, I've got to go get my own house and get my own food. Mm-hmm. And I was really paranoid that food was so expensive, because my parents were really tight with food.
Yeah.
So I always thought, I hope I have enough money for food.
Yeah.
I was always worried there won't be enough money for food. So more than paying the bills, just being hungry was the issue. Because if you're good with your food, right, make it last.
True.
That's funny. I heard that a lot. Make it last.
Are you one of those people that, like, when it starts to mold, you just cut it off?
Oh yeah.
Me too.
Right. I mean, I don't, and I have a compost pile on top of it, so anything's really not wasted.
Yeah.
I'll eat food.
My mom was like that too.
I'll give you an example. When you go to the refrigerator, do you eat what's going to go bad first, or do you eat what you want?
No, I eat what's going to go bad first.
Same with me. I eat what's going to go bad first.
I feel
my menu is planned on the longevity of the food.
I feel like I sacrifice, because Jesse's not like that so much. And so I feel like, okay, well, I have to sacrifice my appetite for eating whatever's going to go bad first.
Right.
And just so that money doesn't go to waste or something in my head.
I'm the same way. Who are you? Fine, you've got money to throw away food. I've got 2 pieces of corn on the cob and I've had since Saturday. I think it might not be that good, but I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah.
I'm going to have corn on the cob for dinner only because it's in the refrigerator. I'm not wasting those 2 corn cobs.
Yeah, but he's also taught me to also learn how to let go of things, which is important for me.
Right. And consequently, when I was married to my husband, I remember one moment cooks broccoli. Give everybody a broccoli on the table, and there's 3 spears of broccoli left in the pan. I'm like, why don't you put that on the plate? He goes, because I have enough. Yeah. I take what I'm eating, and I'm like, I don't get that. Why would you leave some mashed potatoes in the pan? Because we have enough. I'm eating what I want. Yeah. And then throw the rest. It was just like, no, we don't throw food away.
Yeah.
You force yourself to eat it.
What about leftovers? You didn't think about that?
That's really weird. My brother-in-law, who we don't think is like he won't save leftovers because he grew up on leftovers, so he throws them away.
Oh God.
And that's why my parents can't understand that. That's why my parents think he's so bad with food. So I told my sister, bring the leftovers to my parents' house. Don't let them. So they're not gonna waste it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like that too. I always have to have leftovers.
But and consequently, I think it's also nice when people give you food. I think I have friends that when they come over, they'll bring me a bag of lemons. Yeah. I think that's really appropriate. If you have an avocado tree, you bring people avocados. Or you
I
bring
love
lemons.
that. I love that too.
And you have a vegetable garden, you bring avocado. I bring pot to people because I have so much pot.
I don't like when people like hoard their like fruits when it's like clear that it's just like all over their tree. You know those people that are just like, don't touch my stuff, or like they're just like very possessive on their fruits and trees and stuff. I don't like that.
You come across that?
I have.
Oh.
Some of my neighbors have done that, where like they're like hoarding lemons, and it's like, why? It's just gonna go bad. You might as well share.
What, do they have lemon trees? Is that what it is? And and they don't juice them, or?
No, a lot of them are just like
it's mine.
Sitting there.
It's mine.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's something I own. It's mine, and
Which I don't like that.
Right. But that's not what you would do.
I feel like when it comes to like nature and stuff, like people need to share more, you know? Like not everything needs to be so possessive.
Right. I try to do that. I try to live by that.
Yeah. And I think, you did that with Holy Grounds, you know? Like you allowed a space for people to just kind of be...
Well, it was also like working with the kids.
Yeah.
So think about it. I had to create a safe space for kids who did not know what was going on at home, right? So in creating that safe space, a safe space, an opportunity for social engagement, and an opportunity for creative expression. Guess what runs a good coffee shop? Safe space, an opportunity for social engagement, an opportunity for creative expression.
Basically,
that's why I was running the shop that way.
Yeah.
And I liked that. And it became
everybody
a community
liked
space. It was good for a year, and now the new owner's got another direction he's taking it.
Okay.
So.
I'm sure, I'm sure nobody could really live up to all the hours you put into being
I also lived here, and there is a certain degree of that as well.
Because, like you said, like you were here like 24/7 all the time. So.
And the shop, everything out there is mine. The whole thing. But so what are you going to do? I think I should have been treated as the eccentric Colonel Sanders that went along with the chicken.
Okay. So
boys,
going
men.
Back
We're talking
to,
about boys.
I love talking about boys. I just wanted to get your opinion on what do you think are some problems, especially heterosexual men. They have issues with communicating and talking about their feelings.
Well, I'm not a heterosexual man, so I don't know this stuff. But I can.
But you do know men.
I do. So I could tell you. So even talk. So building upon the extension of the shop. Okay.
Okay.
Of the shop being an extension of the after school program. So how did my male shadows grow into this?
Yes.
So I always got, for having a staff of 82 people, it's hard to get men to work in the field of childcare. It's always dominated by women. Mm-hmm. And then you get a whole thing of the Stockholm Syndrome of these women who are just yelling at the kids and they're being held hostage by the mothers and the women. That's a whole other story. Okay, so I got a lot of men to work with me, and everybody was surprised I got as many men to work with me, and I don't know why either, but I just did. And when I had the coffee shop, I also had a lot of guys working here as well. Yeah. So maybe because I don't have any children of my own, then I just project this uncle vibe also with my nephew, because that's what I know what to do, and kids respond to it. Mm-hmm. I swear like a fucking sailor, I smoke pot and I like dick, but you know what? God likes me, and kids like me, and dogs like me. Yeah. So it's really funny, and parents, and I'm really responsible. Mm-hmm. So that's the other. So I gotta tell you this little story real quick. When I was younger, as a latchkey kid, my parents, my mom had a job in a department store. My father was working, and I was 7 years old. And so my mother would come home at 3:30, but we got out of school at 2:30. So there was an hour we were left by ourselves. I remember I got paid I got 50 cents extra in my allowance because I had to watch my sister.
Uh-huh.
But we lived on a cul-de-sac or a dead-end street, and all this, there was salt marsh all behind us, and they would catch on fire. So kids would light them on fire. So at one point they were burning, and I hosed the house down. It just seemed common sense that you should hose the house down because there was fires nearby.
Right.
And it was a really big deal. Apparently, everyone made a big deal about it. The pediatrician said, you don't have to worry about leaving him a hole. Steven's responsible. Yeah. That was always the responsible one.
Right.
And the family stories, that was like what Steven did.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always, the owner. So it doesn't surprise me why people would leave me with their kids or why I was when I worked at Coincidentally. When I worked at Coincidentally, we sold wind bells. I was the liaison between the galleries and the shops because I was responsible and could do the orders, fill them out, do the billing.
And the customer service.
I was 23 years old. I'm thinking like 22 years old, I'm doing this shit. I'm thinking like that's a lot. That was kind of, but I always fell in these positions. Yeah. So what happened was, it's weird for me also, but as a man also not, being the landlord, the supervisor, the boss, I'm the older brother, the older cousin. I'm all these things, always the boss. And just always what happened. And I don't know whether it ties back into this control issues and security, like you said when we started the conversation, why we do that. But it's just the way that it is. So when you're thinking about this stuff, you have a chance to change things.
Right.
I review things, it's more of a review. And so like it's not about changing, it's just like, well, what was that all about?
Reflection.
But it's more reflection.
Yeah.
Your age is more planning, and my age is more reflection.
Yeah, my age sucks.
Well, but there'll be things.
I hate planning.
But you'll look back on all this stuff, and there's more stories than you think.
Responsible too.
If you are who you told me, you take care. This is the kind of stuff you're good at. You do it second nature.
It's pretty chill.
So I can. There's a lot of advantages to being the boss. It's good to be king. So but you have the responsibility, but also you don't have people lauding over you or holding over you. You have some freedom, which I like.
For sure.
Media, right?
Yeah.
So with these guys, so I've always had male staff, and then what happened was, so now that I'm also I was married for 12 years.
Yeah.
I could tell you real quickly, a therapist once told me once before that I needed to have sex more for the sake of having sex and not romanticize everything to make it be legitimate. Isn't that interesting? That my wanting to make everyone be having boyfriends was legitimizing my homosexuality. Okay. That why don't you just have sex for the sake of having sex without having to be more in it? Which is funny because I've got friends who are sexually compulsive, and it's the opposite. They're being told that they can't be intimate, and my issue is I was too intimate and I need to be less intimate with people.
Yeah.
But when you hitchhike, you get in a car, you talk to people but you'll never see them again. Mm-hmm. So I have these moments with people knowing it's an intense moment that might not ever repeat itself. Right. And that's okay. Yeah. That's called a life of adventures. Mm-hmm. You can't always, so now when I have my dates with guys, and I have a lot of dates, I haven't had a relationship. Well, I was in a relationship with Jalen for a year, but I was divorced 10 years ago. Oh no, more than 10. Maybe it's been, oh my God, I got divorced in 2012. So it's been 12 years. I'll tell you this, I haven't dated anybody over 40 in 10 years.
Do you find that younger guys have a hard time being emotional?
I only have younger guys. That's what I want to tell you.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about also what's very unusual for me on the apps. It's only younger guys that hit on me. It's only younger guys that hit on me.
Do you feel like there's a disconnect?
No, I don't. I feel like it's the daddy thing is really, I wish I had more gay friends my own. I wish I had some gay friends my own age as a point of reference. Mm-hmm. Because I don't get to share that point of reference with people sometimes, like about music or something like that, or about something that I've done. Yeah. Somebody was talking about Fleetwood Mac today, and I was just like, I would like to be able to talk about somebody because I remember when that was that was going. So versus younger people who are talking about it as so far away. Because I'm not 35, I'm not 55, 45, 55. I'm 66 years old. Mm-hmm. So Aaron's my friend. Aaron's what, 30, 31, 32?
Yeah, I think his birthday just passed.
It did.
He's like 34 or something.
But you think, so he's only been an adult from 20 to 34, 14 years. I've been an adult twice his life.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I have these experiences. But you know what? So, okay.
So what does Aaron tell you?
I had some friends over. So Orion and Aaron were over up at that cabin last week. We were looking at a neighbor's roses. And these roses are all named after stars for people. There's the Henry Fonda rose, a George Burns rose, and a Barbra Streisand rose. Aaron and Orion did not know who any of these people were at all, and they were 30. And we laughed because the guy who was showing it was also my age as well.
I just feel like men need a lot of healing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. There's a lot of male shadows. So a lot of these young guys. So I have sex with a lot of straight guys, a lot of bisexual guys, a lot of guys. It's very common for guys I'm hitting and talking to online who are all like, "Oh, you're really sexual. Yeah, I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna suck that cock. And I'm gonna go down and gobble, gobble, gobble." And it's like, then on the way here, like, "Can I tell you something? What? I have a girlfriend. Is that okay? Or you're the first guy that ever had sex with. Is that okay?" And I'm like, so.
Do you feel pressure when they tell you that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I feel like it's a big deal for them. What I'm worried more about that slut shaming.
Okay.
Is that they're all like into it at first because they want to do it, and then as soon as it happens, it's like, okay, now it's your fault I did that, and I'm disgusting myself, and then it's my fault.
Wow, that's terrible.
That's real common. Well, it's like with girl. I'm sure if you're with girls in the high school, their boyfriend wants to have sex with you, and then as soon as he has sex with you, it's like, she's a slut.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, with anything, it's always a woman's fault for like so much of the world's problems, right?
Right. It's the gay man. So it's that. So that it's this.
Yeah.
That's why we project.
It's like it's our fault. Right. We intimidated them. We were being too sexy. We were being seductive, and like they were tempted to cheat on their wife, and like things like that. It's like there's no accountability on like what the man is actually doing on his own terms.
Right. Right. There's no accountability. It's all projected. Right. And then, yeah.
For sure. I just think that like I don't know if it's just
they want you to do the work. They want you to be and then they reject you. Then they resent you for it.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's your fault.
You whore.
Right.
I just think men need a lot of healing. Like it's so sad to me, and I feel like it's not talked about enough. I think we, women are so good at just like being emotional and just discussing or expressing our feelings. And I think men have a hard time with that. I think even like, I mean, I wouldn't know from my perspective, but I think just in general, like, I don't know if gay men have that issue or if it's just a heterosexual
Again,
thing.
It's generational because I was at Gay Pride this weekend and I saw these guys in the shorts and little tank tops things. And I thought, this is not my culture at all. It's not my community.
I also wanted to ask you about that.
I don't know, like, so, and I thought, but also these guys are 25 years old and 30, so it's just like, it's a different time and they're different people and it's a whole nother perspective than what I have. And is it me as a gay man or is it me as a person? Because I was a hippie first who then became gay, you know what I'm saying? Or was I gay and then, but my identity growing up, I didn't assume a gay identity, I assumed a hippie identity. Yeah. So I was a gay hippie. Yeah. A gippy.
Okay, so let's just like go into that because I'm actually curious about that. Like, what's your take on like younger generations, like gay younger people? Like, what do you think about it?
I don't.
All the terms and stuff.
Oh, not binary and all this stuff. I think it's fascinating. It's awkward for me to hear it first because I had a hard time with all the gender, remembering the thee, them, that.
Yeah.
It's confused, but I get it to an extent. But how do you feel about Latinx?
I don't know.
It's the same logic.
I don't want to I get what you're saying. I definitely don't like to. I understand what the X is for and it's to be inclusive. I'm not used to using that term. So I just like, it's a learning thing for me for sure.
Well, remember they said if we're going to say African Americans, then we should say Northern European Americans. Or Latin Americans, right? Yeah. I mean, why is it somebody has to have the qualifier first? Right. But I don't need a qualifier because I'm white? Yeah. Bullshit. Yeah. See, the college I went to was really progressive about stuff like that. They really pushed that stuff. They were really very, very... The philosophy of Pacific Oaks, I would say, is about radical inclusion. Mm-hmm. Is what it was. Okay. And about rethinking why we think the way we think and what we do. So therefore, based on that, I think we're talking about all this new stuff that's happening. I think So like, when I was growing up, it was like, okay, gender. So like, you know, it's equal rights, but it's not equal energy. I mean, and I think there was a concept that it was equal rights, equal energy. It's not the same. Masculine energy is not the same as feminine energy. It's different. I worked in a field with all women. My program, yes, I attracted guys in my program, but the field is dominated by women. I was in an agency with 300 employees, and I was one of the few men there. There was another white guy that worked there. And we used to actually interchange, go to meetings and nobody would know we're not the same person. For the LAUSD. So that was a bit of a tangent. I was going somewhere with that.
We're talking about the younger generation.
The younger generation. So they just, I don't know what it is. But going back to this, even the male shadow, that a lot of times when these guys I hook up with, I think a lot of times they just want validation. They just want to be held and be told that they're doing a good job.
I agree.
Just like with kids, it's like, you got this, you got this. Even with, like with Aaron, I mean, I have a lot of straight friends. So here's the thing, I don't approach my friends, I wait for my friends will argue this, I always wait till they say something to me about it. I don't want to be the predator. I have a real issue. I mean, a teacher, please, on top of it. Why? So I'm hyper aware of being a predator, being a gay teacher, being told that you're always like looking for that. Yeah. But these kids are, but you know, if you're 25 years old, you're an adult.
Yeah.
And if you're hitting on me at 25, so my last boyfriend was 21. That was young.
Yeah.
But even I knew that. But he hit on me, and somebody said, what do you have in common with the 21-year-old? Nothing, and it was wonderful. Because it was all, like I said, here I lament not being able to talk to my own age as a reference. But it was also nice to be with somebody who was younger, and it was teaching me things. I got into I never knew anything about anime. It didn't exist growing up. So Jalen was really into anime, and we went and saw these museum exhibits about anime. And we would go bike riding and do things together. And we did a lot of just playing together, which was fun. 'Cause that's what I want. That's what I want right now. I want to play. I want to play. I want to enjoy the stuff that I do. I'm making a tile counter up at the cabin, and so a countertop. And so the whole thing isn't become like, I have to make this counter. It's just like, why are you choosing to make the counter, Steve? Because you want to do it. And if you want to do it, why aren't you enjoying it? So why aren't you framing this all with a sense of wonder and like figuring it all out and making it be fun to place it together? And, you know, so, or even gardening. So I gotta get those plants in the ground. It's like, why not enjoy planting that and just be casual about it and have fun with it? So even having sex with these guys, it's a lot of foreplay. Yeah. It's not always about the orgasm.
Yeah.
So it's about, so when these dates come over, well, it's like, I don't do going blows, or it's just like, these guys come over at 7, don't go home till 1 o'clock in the evening. I like that. Let's get stoned, let's smoke a joint, let's listen to music, and let's get naked and see what happens. And that's what they like. And so that's funny.
It's like intimacy.
Well, like, all these guys, these always call me Daddy Steve, and now they're calling me Uncle Steve. And I like Uncle Steve kind of better. So Uncle Steve's fun. Is Uncle Steve available to play this weekend or play?
Oh my God. Well, let me see. Okay, well, we're a little over an hour.
Yeah, so we've been gone since, so you can edit this out a little bit.
I will edit some things out.
I know you want to talk more about sex, but I think but I'll tell you, it's a long time I was talking to a woman about it.
Sure.
And because I could talk more if it was a guy. And also, I don't want to violate any of my friends' names or people that I'm with. Because I have an interesting relationship with Orion. I'm looking at him because he sleeps up there. But he's my godson. It's just like, you know, I've known him for 10 years. Yeah. And that's an interesting relationship. So I've got friendships with a lot of male shadows.
Yeah.
Aaron, Hector. Do you know Hector?
I know Hector.
Right. And these guys all, like, you know, they gravitate towards me. And I don't know why it is. I mean,
I think you also give them like that male guidance, possibly.
You know, that kind of it. Well, I do. I want, and I will tell you this also about who I am as a person. Yeah. I like seeing people be successful. Yeah. As a teacher, I've always wanted kids to be successful. Why wouldn't I be? Yeah. I grew up near a dump. So when I was a kid, this dead-end street we had, the salt marsh, the city dump was on the other end. So we were always dragging stuff out of the dump and making forts. So it was always the possibility of what could be. Right. And I like that. Yeah. Making something last, So it's the same with kids. what could we make out of stuff that we find building forts?
Yeah.
But also, what's my interaction with kids too?
Yeah.
What can you be? I don't want Alexis to be, even with the Values Project, I don't want to project my values onto you. What are your values? Let me help. Let's help Alexis to be the most that Alexis could be. That's a good teacher.
Right.
So you got 30 kids, it's 30 different people in your room, and they're all. And what's fun about, and also in childcare, you've got kids from kindergarten to 6th grade. So you've got a big age span of all these kids. So, but I like that. It's a big neighborhood. It's a big. That's what I grew up. And I grew up in a neighborhood with all kids.
I think you also just allow people
and it was a safe
to
space.
Be who they are, and you give that like almost like a nurture, but like some also masculine energy.
I'm a masculine nurturer in a way that I don't know it. I'm a dad. I dad a lot.
For sure.
As a verb.
Yeah.
And I know that. I dad him was like, even I said before, if you're my daughter, didn't I say that earlier? If my daughter, I said this is what I would tell you to do.
Right.
So that's just naturally what I do.
Yeah.
And I can't, it just seems like that's spiritually, that's what I'm supposed
That's your purpose.
to. It's my purpose. I'm supposed to take care of things.
Yeah.
Have a generous heart. Be of generous heart and good cheer. Of generous heart and good cheer. Where's that from? It sounds English more than to be of generous heart and good cheer.
No clue.
Patient with people. I mean, I also am aware that I've been given a lot as a white man. I am by very nature of a white man in America. I have a lot of privilege.
Right.
So I also feel I like to return that privilege. What is it? To whom much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
So I feel a certain amount of that. But the shop is over, so it's done. And now what it is, I'm moving more towards the cabin. Like I said, if I live there, I never get late. So I want to tell you the things I was going to tell you earlier about the apps.
Okay.
So you know how they're geographically aligned.
Yes.
Right. So I'm up there and I'll see somebody. Let's say Jose. He's 50 miles away. I'm talking to him. Then he's 5 miles away. No, 50 miles away. Then he's 10 miles away. 5 miles away. And then he's 5 miles away. 10 miles away. 50 miles away. They're all on the interstate. But yeah, they're just coming through. They're all passing through on the 5.
On the freeway.
That's like, that's when I'm going to have a relationship with a trucker whenever he's in town. But it's a wonderful piece of property and I'm up in the mountains. My mortgage is $800 a month.
What?
For a 3-bedroom house.
That's crazy.
You can buy places up there for still $200,000.
Oh my God. $200,000.
I know, right? So you start thinking, right? And the idea was when Tom and I bought that place, we wanted something in town for and then because when you get older, we don't go to bars. Friends come over to the house and spend the night. So the idea was you come to the cabin, party, spend the night, and then go back. And then go back there, and go back in the weekends, and to go up there for summers and vacations because it's I can't entertain here.
Right.
But if I was gonna have a party, it's easier to do it up there, and people can come for the day. It's only an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
It's past the 5.
Okay.
So you're going up. And I get snow in the winter.
What?
But then it doesn't last, so it's good.
Okay.
It snows for 2 days. It's there, and then it melts.
So you don't have to do upkeep
I don't.
of
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You get to have the joy of having the snow and play in it, and then
without cleaning it up.
And one of my favorite things in the world to do is to smoke pot and watch snow fall. To roll a joint.
Sounds really cool.
And just to watch snow fall, it's so peaceful. I want to die. I want to die on a snowy afternoon.
Oh.
I think I would be very easy for me to let go of this mortal coil on a snowy day.
When you die, do you want to be like in a coffin, or do you want to be like, what's your preference?
Well, I haven't
Cremated?
thought about that. I have a coffin up at the cabin. That's the joke. No, because there's a coffin factory across the street.
Okay.
So I found one in the alley and I brought it back here. And everyone was like, "What are you gonna do with the coffin?" I said, "Well, I don't have one."
Okay.
So we did a lot of props with it. Actually, if you go to my there's a lot of jokes with it.
So you're just gonna use that?
It's up at the cabin. I keep my power tools in it.
Just do the repurpose.
Because I figured no one's gonna go. Who's gonna go look in a coffin?
Yeah.
Right? If it's in your garage.
Yeah.
I should put some little lights in it so when you open it, the light would go on.
You should.
But even now, even if you look in the window, you'll see the coffin in there. It's like, get the fuck off my property.
Have you heard of those like mushroom suits that you just put on when you're dead, and then like they like kind of they like plant you into like the ground, and then
love it,
and then they put a tree on top of you, and then you just grow into a tree.
I've always thought, why not go in a fetal position? Because basically you're conceived in a fetal position, right? So you should be buried in a fetal position.
Yeah.
And then put a pit in my mouth. Right? A fetal position with a pit.
Sure.
And then that tree would just grow up like
For
avocado.
sure. And then all the stuff inside of you is going to like grow into a tree.
I read today that when you plant a tomato plant, you should put an egg in the ground before you plant the tomato.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Neither did I. I heard about fish.
Okay.
I know that they did that because when we, I think they taught the Pilgrims that when they were the Indians taught that you put a fish in the ground with the seeds and the fertilizer.
What? I didn't know that. I can't wait to have my own garden.
Yes, we had a shop at an aquarium at school, and the kids couldn't wait till the fish died, so we put them in the ground see if it grows.
I know when I was younger, I couldn't wait till my goldfish died, so that way I can just kill them and put them in the ground.
You wanted to do that?
Yeah.
To what, have the funeral or to the fertilizer?
It's the funeral that fascinated me.
And did you do it? Make a little coffin?
I didn't make a little coffin, but I basically tried to cremate a fish with the lighter.
Oh,
I was a kid.
Right.
And then I also did a little burial.
Were you wrap it in paper? I mean, I think
I don't remember. Honestly, it didn't work out.
Oh.
I couldn't cremate it. I didn't realize that. And then I tried to bury it, and then I flushed it down. I just did different types of getting rid of this fish.
Well, with my kid, when I worked with the severely emotionally disturbed kids at the clinic, I felt they needed to understand death, so I gave them each goldfish knowing they would die. So I gave them a goldfish in the class, say, okay, that's your goldfish.
Yeah.
You got to take care of it. Of course, they'll die.
Yeah.
Which I knew they would. And then I got to say, okay, now how do you feel about that? We got to bury it and do all the whole thing with death.
Yeah.
So it gave us a concept about death.
We'll go ahead and end here though, because we're still recording. Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm glad to have you on the camera now. And you're going to be on YouTube. You know, you were actually the reason why I started a YouTube channel.
Because you saw that other... Did you see another podcast that
No.
I don't
okay, so I had texted you and you're like, I haven't listened to the episode. And I was like, okay, well, where do you listen to music and stuff? And you said YouTube. And I was like, okay, I need to get this on YouTube so that way Steve can listen to it.
I don't want to hear myself. I think when I'm listening to myself... I was in another podcast. I think I'm just pontificating. I sound really... And I think it's this isn't so bad. The other one I felt I was really when it was edited out, I felt like it was just I was coming off as a big know-it-all.
Okay.
So I just want to really preface it. These are just my experiences of a 66-year-old man of where I'm at right now, and this is all that I know. And I could be wrong.
It is hard to listen to yourself, though. Right. I feel that.
Well, I mean, it's like my mom said, who wants to listen to you? It's just like, it's like, why do they want to listen to you? Well, they think I'm interesting.
You're interesting.
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 I'm interesting.
You have a lot of stories.
Well, I'm old, and I think most people have lived a life that I have.
You have a lighthearted sense of humor, too.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say that.
Yeah. So it's just, easy to talk to.
I'm user-friendly?
Yeah, for sure. User-friendly.
My mom and grandma always had a nice smile, and I always think that's the gift, I think, if you can talk to people and make people feel at ease. It's funny, I'll tell you, my personal growth, there was a bunch of bikers. I had to get air in my tire, and I had to go to a gas station, and there was maybe 5 bikers outside the gas station. And I did catch myself thinking, I used to be really scared to walk into a group like that, to get into the thing. And I was just like, hey, gentlemen. I said, good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you? But I'm aware also that I'm older, maybe, so that's why I don't feel as threatened.
Maybe.
But I just wasn't, because when they're your age, then you feel like you're being on the same limb. But now when you're older,
right?
The gray,
it just shows.
It's less threatening.
I guess so.
Silver disobedience is what somebody said.
Okay, well,
we'll end here. How about on that note? Silver disobedience.
We'll end here.